The Jim and Terry Show, perhaps, maybe, hopefully, Jim returning to the empty chair sitting in the corner next week with a new view on things. Good luck with that operation. What are we talking about today? Well, a couple of things. Let's wind up a whole bunch. I mean, I look at so much stuff. Well, I've used lyrics for the last couple of podcasts in a song to sort of say, gee, you can jump off into all kinds of territory when you write songs. Or maybe it's that all kinds of songs come about because you think about all kinds of things in the expressions, your processing of those issues comes out in music and in lyrics. Whichever the case may be, I'm going to abandon the lyrics and go to the news, things that are interesting to me in the news. Number one, did you hear that Tucker Carlson, Conrad Black, Daniel Smith, who else was on stage at this Alberta conference? And I've just been playing, what is it called? Tucker Carlson's Message to Canadians. I don't know about you, but I would be a little loath, a little reticent maybe, to be as neutral as possible, to sit in an audience, listen to an American come and talk to Canadians with the tone and disparaging remarks about Canada's government. Last time someone tried to do that, it was Lester B. Pearson, Canadian Prime Minister, speaking to Lyndon B. Johnson, President of the United States, during the Vietnam War. And Pearson was giving a university address to an American graduating class, I believe, and gave a pro-peace, pull out of Vietnam kind of message. Lyndon Johnson called him into his, I'm not sure whether it was an office or whether he invited him down to the ranch that the American presidents have, Camp David, and basically hauled our Prime Minister, who is a shorter in stature than a much taller 6 foot plus Lyndon B. Johnson, by the lapels, the shirt collar kind of thing, up onto his tippy toes and said, "Don't you dare piss on my carpet, sir." Something like that. I maybe not quite got it, but the piss on the carpet, I think, is a verbatim excerpt from that. Yeah, so maybe Tucker Carlson shouldn't be coming up to give us any advice, given that he was, dare I say, solely, no, that would be too fine of a point to nail this one down, but largely responsible for the $787 million fine leveled to Fox for spreading fake news. That wasn't just Carlson, Ingram, Pirro, Hannity, they're all in there too, but Carlson lost his job. I'd say that if you cost the company nearly $1 billion, you should probably rethink your employment strategies. So here he is coming to Canada. What could he possibly offer? Well, a clue might be what he offered his Fox audiences during the Trump years. And what he offers still from his home studio or wherever he gets it. Is Joe Rogan lending him some studio time? I'm not sure where Carlson is broadcasting from these days. But it's the same old, dare I call it, tripe. Look up the definition of tripe. And there he is in Alberta, Calgary. I'm not sure whether it was last night. The podcast that I was listening to, or the YouTube channel, was, I guess, about 20 minutes of Carlson. I don't know how much he got paid. Not sure whether it was paid or in Alberta oil and gas, or renewables. I'm not sure. But what a rogues gallery in Calgary assembling. This is the unite the right kind of thing that goes on when ne'er-do-wells gather and make fun of other people's politics. Okay, so Tucker Carlson, who are you to do this? And what he said was very ad hominem-ish. Ad hominem personal attacks. Why would you come up and make personal attacks? Why? Because the UCP, the United Conservative Party of Alberta, under Danielle Nutjob Smith, is prone to do that kind of stuff. Just poke fun at people because you have no policies. And what policies you do have are not very well thought of, thought of, or put into practice. The Alberta pension plan withdrawing from CPP and having their own pension plan. What a disaster concept that is. That's okay. It's almost like Pierre Poilievre's let's take the CPP and buy Bitcoin. Okay, so what do all these people on the right have that's any better than what we've got in the current government? The answer to me is clear. Nothing. And for all the ad hominems that Tucker Carlson hurled at Trudeau, I would have to say this one should be right back at you. He called Trudeau a poser. I think there was an adjective in front of it, but I'll just settle for that. So who better fits that? Tucker Carlson? Maybe Pierre Poilievre. His $3 million makeover to appeal to who? The very people that Tucker Carlson criticized Trudeau of appealing to? Women in Canada love Trudeau. Really? Was that what Poilievre lacks? The love from women? Could it be because he's anti-abortion? Or should I say that's pro-life? I'm not sure how you would phrase that. Poilievre is not very women-friendly. In fact, some of his early tweets, I think you can still find some of them online on his personal account. I'm not sure it's on a government account. Were signified with a hashtag MGTOW, which means men going their own way. An anti-feminist, misogynistic, mostly online community advocating for men to separate themselves from women and to create a society that's more friendly towards males. Jordan Peterson, you going to step up to the mic? So you got to look at this stuff and connect the dots where you can. Is it harmless? Maybe people were there for a joke and a laugh. Carlson is not a comedian, thank God. And I'm laughing out of desperation because I want to cry, really. Well, that's one thing. Tucker Carlson in Alberta speaking at some kind of a rally in which Danielle Smith thought it was really a reasonable thing to invite someone who divided Americans, cost an American news network nearly $1 billion in fines for spreading false information. And I wonder how much Danielle Smith is learning from Tucker Carlson about spreading false information. Danielle Smith, who's breaking healthcare in Alberta. Danielle Smith, who's breaking education in Alberta. Danielle Smith, who has so many plans for a separate Alberta. I'm just wondering what your end game is, Danielle Smith. So I've got some questions about this whole thing. And a rogues gallery, how about Conrad Black, Lord Black? Convicted fraudster, convicted, what did he do? Sentenced to 6.5 years? Yeah, we're going to take lessons or advice or even have him on the podium, have dinner with the guy? Are you out of your mind? Well, if you're in Alberta and you're complaining because fossil fuels, price of gas, I don't know. Why would you listen to Conrad Black about anything? I don't know. And then is it Menzies, the guy from Rebel News, the guy who was trying to harass Chrystia Freeland was there? And of course, Danielle Smith. I'm not sure about any of this stuff, but that's in the news. But that's not just the only thing. Other stuff that's in the news is kind of interesting to me as well. I just check my social media. Am I checking social media? Yeah, I do. So what have I learned? Well, Nikki Haley finished second in New Hampshire. Second, Trump tweets out from Truth Social. Truth Social, by the way, is social media business that Trump owns and kept afloat by a Russian oligarch who has investments in the porn industry. Interesting stuff. Well, be that as it may, what did Trump say? Trump said she finished last, not second. And he went on a social media tirade about Nikki Haley. And that's kind of strange when you think that Trump hired Nikki Haley as U.S. ambassador. She was good enough for him then. Now she's archenemy number one, and it just shows you that loyalty comes and loyalty goes with Trump. It is a question of what are you doing for me right now in this moment, not what have you done for me lately. Haley has made some inconsistent public policy statements. She, as governor, was not very favorable toward black voters and tried to limit and cap black voting and tried to control the registry of black voters. She also was misogynistic in terms of limiting access to abortions, and I believe she had her hand in the education book banning pie as well. Well, that's not the worst of it. The worst of it is stuff she says on record, that when she's president, she will roll back what they call entitlements, which are the benefits that you receive, Medicare, Medicaid, your pensions. All of these things are considered to be negotiable. Why does she want to rob from those areas of health care, education, and senior benefits? Because she can then afford to reduce the taxes on the rich. Nikki Haley, no better than Trump, just better looking. That's the only difference, and either one of them is not a good fit for America at this point. So that's the New Hampshire Republican. Funny thing about New Hampshire, Biden wasn't even on any kind of ballot there, but they did a write-in where you could write in a Democratic candidate. Biden won with more votes on write-in ballot sheets for a Democrat that isn't even running in New Hampshire than Trump had in New Hampshire as a Republican incumbent. And that's the big story of that day. Is Trump in trouble? I don't think so. Nikki Haley will give him a good run for his money, and maybe like Chris Christie before he dropped out, maybe he will have an attack or two from Nikki Haley. We'll see how that goes. Maybe it'll cause some moderate independents and moderate Republicans to choose not to vote for Trump in 2024. There's still a lot of miles before November 2024. Time for a Black Swan event. Time for a Friday dump, or whatever they call it when there's a surprise. The October surprise before November. All kinds of stuff is possible. I think it will be a Biden win. That's my prediction. I'm not sure by how much or what number of, what do they need, 270 to be declared a victor in the election. Be sure that Trump will call foul. Trump is always calling foul. He's always the victim. He's always a whiner. And lately, he's been a loser. Lost in all the elections subsequent to 2016. Lost the House, lost the Senate, lost the presidency, and maybe he will even wrap up this campaign in an orange suit. Bye-bye for now.